All right, everybody, it looks like it's about 5 p.m. So if you could have your seats, we'll continue. So I'd like to call this meeting to order. The Town Council meeting for Tuesday, February 4th, 2025. And for the first time, as long as I know, it's at 5 p.m. So let's start the meeting. Call to order.
Council members Abel,
Here.
Dennison,
Here.
Lombardo,
Here.
Schooler,
Here.
and Mayor Droz.
Here. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. And Mayor Pro Tem Abel, would you like to lead us with that? If you'd like to, that'd be great.
Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And please stay standing. We have our invocation led by Pastor Casey Kuhlman, Calvary Baptist Church. Thank you, Casey.
Thank you. Let's pray. Our great and gracious Father, we humbly approach your throne of grace, acknowledging that we are what we are only by your grace. And in our acknowledgement of your great grace to us, Lord, we plead for more grace. You know how weak we are. You know how finite we are. You know, Lord, that even in our desires of wanting to do right, we fail. And so we look to you as the God of all grace, the giver of all grace. We look to you as the one who grants us mercy and the one who shows compassion. Lord, we confess our sin to you. We acknowledge in this world of hopelessness and this life filled with many heartaches and despair, there is a place that we can turn to for refuge, for strength, for wisdom, for comfort, and that is you, our Creator, our Sustainer. We thank you, Father, for being gracious and sending your Son, Jesus Christ, to be our sufficient Savior. Oh, Lord, we pray that you would guide us by the light of your word. May truth and righteousness prevail not only in our nation, not only in our state, but in this great city of Yucca Valley. We are thankful for this town. We're thankful for the many people who have poured themselves into this town over the years, many unknown people to us, but nevertheless we are thankful, Father, for mayors of past, council members of past, employees of Yucca Valley who have diligently given of their time, their energy, and effort to make this place a wonderful place to live and raise a family. And Father, we pray that you would be with this meeting and all future meetings in 2025, and that you would be with the mayor, the council members, give them your guidance as they seek to make this place a place of truth, a place of righteousness, a place where others can prosper in health and happiness. Lord, we thank you for the privilege of prayer and coming before you tonight. We ask that everything would be answered in accordance to your perfect will. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Kuhlman. Next on our agenda is presentations, introductions, and recognitions, and it looks like we do not have any tonight. Is that correct?
Yes, Mayor, we were scheduled to have a presentation from San Bernardino County Fire. Family emergency came up, and so the chief asked that we postpone that, so that will likely be on your next agenda.
Perfect, thank you. So now we have the approval of the agenda. So does anybody want to move on this item?
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve tonight's agenda as posted.
I'll second.
We had a tie.
Council members Abel,
Yes.
Dennison,
Yes.
Lombardo,
Yes.
Schooler,
Yes.
and Mayor Droz.
Yes. Consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda are routine matters or formal documents covering previous town council instruction. Items are enacted by one motion and a second without separate discussion unless a member of the town council or town staff requests dialogue on a specific item at the beginning of the meeting. Requests for public comment on the consent agenda items should be filed with the town clerk. So does anybody have any items they want to pull from the consent agenda?
I'll move that we approve the consent agenda.
Dennison will second. Excuse me, Dennison will second. Any public comment?
Councilmembers Abel,
Before we do that, is there any public comment on the consent agenda? I forgot that. I see none. Okay, go ahead.
Yes.
Councilmember Dennison,
Yes.
Lombardo,
Yes.
Schooler,
Yes.
and Mayor Droz.
Yes. Now we're moving on to number 5, department reports, town project number 9101.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The item before you tonight is a project update for the Old Town Beautification Sustainability Project Phase 1. And the recommendation before you tonight that the Town Council receive and file the Old Town Beautification and Sustainability Project Phase 1 update. And just to give a project description of what is the project entail, that is consists of building a parking lot to accommodate approximately 93 parking spaces, 4 dual port electrical vehicle charging stations, the restroom facility, landscaping, shade structure, lighting, and street improvement on Elk Trail. So just to give an update, that is, we have awarded the project to IE General on April 2 of 2024, and the groundbreaking ceremony was held with the council and other members of the community on June 17 of 2024. Some of the issues that, or some of the improvement that is still, that is we working with the contractor on for the project completion, Elk Trail paving, landscaping and irrigation, AV charging stations and lights, the trash enclosure and shade structures, and concrete finishes, along with parking lot and alley paving. As you know, the parking right now have one lift of asphalt and needed second after all the improvement is installed. So to start with the Elk Avenue, we have decided on that when through the design, that is Elk to be a concrete, stamped concrete finishes that is complement the area and make it stand out, and to complement the landscaping, lighting, and the restroom that is we have ordered prior to the project started. And you can see that is the picture that I have. This is, on the my left is the color and the orientation of what is the stamped concrete need to look like, and then this is what was installed that does not meet the qualification or does not meet the color recommendation that the staff have told the contractor. So the contractor have been told to remove it and replace it with the right coloring. This is the trash enclosure, as you can see, is being almost completed. What you see from the picture is what's missing is the shade structure that goes on top, so no dumping, no illegal dumping happens, and of course the gates to the trash enclosure. That is what is planned for that area. Just a little bit more information, that is after all of these, the trash enclosure has been built, it will have a one coat of anti-graffiti coating that is going to be on the building. That's usually happen after the construction of the thing is completed. Next, the concrete, there is a lot of concrete that need to be done within the area to complement there is a seating wall, and there is exposed concrete that is for people to walk around, and that is something that we're working with the contractor right now to get that done. As you can see, the restroom has been delivered and installed. As you remember, that restroom was delayed about 4 months before we got it due to production issues that is the manufacturer or the builder had before they delivered it. The colors that you see on that restroom was discussed with staff members and discussed with the designer or the architect on the project to complement after we install all the other improvements. It will complement each other, including, of course, the stamped concrete that we have on Elk Street after we complete all of that. As you can see, that is the delay of the delivery of the restroom have affected a lot of tasks for the project. This restroom, from the back of it, it hosts all the equipment and hosts all the management of irrigation and lighting, and for the lights, that is the street lights that we're going to be installing, and also will host the irrigation controller for the plants and the shrubs that is we're going to be installing for the project. This is like I said, we are working closely with the contractor. We were told that is a date to complete all of these improvements will be the end of March. Crossing my finger. So we are working closely with them so we can deliver these dates. Please bear in mind that is some delays could happen. For example, weather, equipment failure. So a lot of things can happen, but we are on the schedule at this point of time to complete all these improvements by the end of March. That is the recommendation before you tonight, that the town council receive and file the project update. I'll be more than happy to answer any question after public comments.
Awesome, thank you, Alex. So is there anyone in the public that would like to comment on this item? Anyone on the council? Any questions for Alex or anybody?
Just one, thanks, Alex, for that presentation. I'm glad to see that finally got delivered and the rest of the project can move forward, even though it looks like you have a couple of change orders that look difficult. One of them is the controls that control irrigation, lighting, and I'm assuming other features like alarms or whatever. But is all that remotely controlled too? Some of our others are.
Yes, in a matter of fact, our consultant that supply us with the controller we control from our offices have installed his equipment today. So we are ready to go when that's happening. The lighting and the irrigation will be controlled by our staff from their office.
Excellent, thank you.
Very nice.
All right, thank you. We appreciate it.
Mayor?
Yes, oh, sorry.
Yeah, Alex, I had a question about and you might have said this, but the concrete strip in the parking lot area down the middle and then asphalt on the sides, it seems like the concrete's raised higher than the asphalt. Is that a finished product, or is there going to be more asphalt?
No, that is not a finished product. After they completely remove it and replace it, they'll replace it flush with what we have, with the concrete.
Okay. Yeah, and I really like the idea of stamped concrete. I didn't know we were doing that. Is the concrete supplier local or?
I believe it is, yes.
Yeah. And the issue is the color?
Yes, there is, as from what one of the slides, we have agreed to a color that complement, again, all of these coloring schemes and everything, that is discussion between staff and between the consultant that is really, the architect that did these plans for us. And we come up with a coloring that is complement the whole scheme of what we're doing. But unfortunately, when they laid it out, it was the wrong coloring. So we have asked them to please remove and replace.
Okay, and what's in there now is two-tone. It looks like it's two-tone. Is it going to be two-tone again, or?
No, it's not. It will be a one-tone that is, it's kind of like, some light and dark. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, according to the test panel that we have, it is double-tone.
Okay.
What's installed right now is if you look at it, is a regular concrete, in my opinion. That's why it was rejected.
Yeah.
From the
Okay, I'm sure it'll look great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I just want to say, I dropped by, I was unaware of the color conflict, but looked great to me. So I'm glad that we're sticking to the plan, though, the way it was drawn by the architect. We'll get a better product. And it'll coordinate, which is the whole desire, is to make the space a place to gather. And so I'm excited that it's going to be done right.
Yep, so that is compliment, that is when we were discussing the project from the beginning, if you may recall, we have talked about, Elk and to be a gathering area, maybe, a farmer's market, maybe art, maybe. So when we started with the design and the planning of that, we have told the consultant when they designed it, that have to be stand out, and it have to be different than anything else. And we use the concrete because the concrete lasts for a longer time. It's not asphalt. I don't have to slurry seal it. I don't have to do anything. And the difference in the prices was not that huge. That's why we went with the stamped concrete.
It's always good to do it right the first.
Yes, exactly.
Get it done.
Excellent. Anyone else? No? Okay, thank you, Alex. So this is receive and file, or file and receive? Receive and file. So, thank you very much. So the next thing is number 6, town monument signage, an update.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We're pleased to bring you this update on the West Entrance Monument Sign Call for Art. The recommendation this evening is that the council receive and file the report and provide direction as desired. It's a little small, but as you know, this public art program began when the council was exploring its strategic plan initiative related to highway beautification and town entry signage. One element of this effort was the desire to establish monument signage at town entrances. The west entrance was chosen as the first location for a new Call for Art project to gather conceptual art submissions from the community. And the southwest corner of Highway 62 and Camino del Cielo was selected as the desired location. The town council asked the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Commission, who has oversight of the public art program, to take on this effort. The commission took the task very seriously and completed a 6-month process that included a call for art, a submission review, public comment collection period, and then a final selection process that took from June through December of last year. During the process, the 29 Palms Band of Mission Indians began development of reservation land near the site on the southeast corner of Highway 62 and Camino del Cielo. Presently, there's a temporary retail cannabis facility at the site. However, the further development of the site may occur. In light of this current and future development, staff wanted to provide an update on this public art project before moving forward with the presentation of the PRCC recommendation at a near future meeting. The town council may wish to consider some of the options listed here or provide other direction. Of course, you can retain the selected location on Camino del Cielo and Highway 62 and move forward with the consideration of the conceptual designs recommended by the PRCC. You can select an alternative location at the west entrance. We presented a few others when you made this selection. We could revisit those. You could select an alternate location at the east or north entrance and move forward with consideration of the conceptual designs for those other locations as well, or do an alternative option as you may desire. Just for reference, this is the, you can see this some of the original photographs when you selected the location, and you can see it right there on the right. Is the proposed location of the monument sign. The lower image, we wanted to pull back and show you that there is signage in the area already. So, just to take that into consideration as you're thinking through this review. The picture on the top is a more recent photo. You can see the Red Falcon signage on the right. And then the smaller picture is the actual store location. The bottom left picture is more standing on the site where the monument sign would be. And then you can see some of the signage for the Red Falcon location. Again, that top picture kind of shows you that you can see the hotel sign across the street. So, there is some development in the area already. We want to provide some images. To the left, of course, is the location of the proposed monument sign facing east. And just for contrast, the bottom right is a photograph of a monument sign that is surrounded by development. So, we just wanted to show that, this happens in other communities. There are monument signs that have development surrounding them, and wanted to provide that for consideration. And here's one of the images that just superimposes a monument sign on the location that was approved by the town council.
Looks like it's just blocking.
So as we mentioned, the updates provided to provide an overview of the progress so far and give the town council an opportunity to provide direction as required, as desired by the council on, do you want to move forward with this location? So we would be happy to answer any questions after public comment.
Hey, Sue, if you could walk the council through a little bit of an update on some of the detailed review that the PRCC has done already on this project after going out for public comment, getting that public comment back, and ultimately what they have ready to share with the council. That'd be terrific.
Sure. So in preparation of their recommendation, the commission did do a very thorough review. They reviewed the call for art before it was publicized. They went over all the dates. They made sure that we did the proper outreach. They reviewed our outreach. And that paid off. That effort paid off. We had 23 submissions. So that's really, really outstanding. And definitely an undertaking for them to scale that down to a recommendation. So they did a lot of work, did a ranking system, and did a lot of discussion to get that down to 5 submissions that they would like you to consider to make your selection. So they did take those 5 submissions and put it out to public comment, which is required by the public art policy. They even gave it extra time. So, normally we would put it out for 30 days, so they gave extra time for the public to respond because it is a, very significant placement and selection. So they wanted to make sure the public had plenty of time to respond. They came back from that and had listened to the artists. They also went through and discussed, how many they wanted to forward to you. And there were 5 that they wanted to forward to the town council for you to review and make the final selection. They also plan to forward their ratings, their rankings to you, so you can sort of see how the group responded and how they came up with these 5 selections. They also did make a suggestion, not a requirement, that you maybe consider allowing the artists to maybe have a more involved presentation. But that's entirely up to you, whether or not you want to do a study session. One of them brought up a study session, or if you wanted to just allow extra time for them to present their concepts. So that's something that we certainly would like direction on as well, if you would like to have a special session where they can present, or allow more time for them to present those final 5. Is that?
Thank you very much. Is there any public comment on this item? I see none. So let's take it back to the council. Does anybody have any questions or comments or opinions? Go ahead, Councilmember Lombardo.
I'm glad to see that they spent a lot of time on going through this. 5 selections will be plenty to choose from, I'm sure, but wow, it was great that there were so many submissions. And I'm always in favor of the work study kind of situation where you have time to sit and chat and find out more of the details. I'm not opposed to having it at a regular meeting if more time is made available, but I'm fine with a workshop. Maybe we can attract more people that way.
Very good. Anyone else? Councilmember Dennison?
So thank you, Sue, for the presentation. I want to compliment the PRCC for digging into this, and I see some of the members here today. It is drilling it down from 23 and 5, so maybe each person had their favorite or they liked, went in alignment on some of them. But I've currently, one of the things we talked about at the very beginning of the presentation was the location of the sign. And I would consider that we have a beautiful place to put it. I don't really know what the future holds for further development in the area, but I would like to retain that position that it is at the entry of our town, and it's on the right-hand side as you enter our community, and I think that's the perfect spot to put it. So I would continue to move with that we could retain that. I would like to maybe hear a little bit more about future development and conceptual drawings as far as that intersection and development, should that occur in the future, that we can maintain that. But I think it might be nice to have a meeting with the PRCC members so we could get more of a personal discussion on some of the 5 considerations that have been selected. That would be something I'd like to do, is to hear a little bit more and a little bit of discussion and really get into the back of it and the emotion and the design and the thought on the this is a branding for our town, so I feel it's important to do a little bit more of that bonding between each of us and our thoughts together like a workshop. So thank you for that, bringing it up.
Thank you. Councilmember Schooler.
Okay, did you say that we're going to get to hear from the artists, or is that kind of up for discussion?
So the recommendation from the PRCC, they recommend that you consider these 5 finalists, let's say. And in their recommendation in the language, they make a suggestion, not a requirement, that you may want to consider doing a workshop-style meeting where we deviate a little bit from the traditional presentation. Of course, the artists did come up and speak, the ones that were present, to talk about their design. But perhaps the council, they just mentioned that perhaps the council would want to do more of a workshop or study session format to allow them more time to describe their vision.
Well, that's intriguing, and I wouldn't be opposed to that. I just, you're always saying no to 4 really good designs, but it sounds like it's important enough that maybe we should go that route. And as for the location, I agree with Councilmember Dennison that we've got that location there. I kind of hate the superimposed picture that you put up there with all the weeds and everything, but so I'm sure when we install ours, it's gonna be a much more appealing look. But I'm in favor of keeping that location. I think that's probably the right place.
Okay.
One more comment.
Yes, go right ahead, Councilmember.
When you did show that superimposed picture, it was a little concerning that you're seeing the dispensary sign as well in that, I think, from what I saw. And I wouldn't be opposed to looking at another location. That is the ideal location. We may want to investigate the implications of the height and the design of how it's going to be blocking or not blocking or influencing the rest of the development in the area.
And that's why we provided the other image that showed the Rancho Mirage location. So,
You went too far.
You remember
I
it.
want the one with the,
It's buried in among all the other development there.
there it is.
There it is.
Yeah, the bottom right, so you kind of get an idea, and as Councilmember Schooler said, there's a manicured landscaping there, so, but there is development behind it.
Yeah.
So, once the area is built out, then, it may not be as impactful as is imagined.
Should we at all consider talking with the people that are developing the people that are developing that corner there, and at least inform them of what we're doing there so that we're not, totally blocking their view of what they might consider as important for their economic development. But there might be a way to make it peaceful for everybody. You don't want to anger any group over positioning of our sign, although we want our sign to be special because it's in that special location.
Certainly, and
Needs to be discussed.
if the council feels like you want to move forward with that location, it might be helpful to review the designs and, think about how they would settle on that location and what other options might exist, or modifications to a design if
Yeah.
you decide
question-
that you want to control the sight lines.
Yeah.
There might be other ways of
Do they
doing
have
that.
any kind of a formalized final drawing of where they're going with that development?
So I can chime in on that a little bit. We've had initial
just don't want-
conversations with the tribe on their development concepts. It's in a conceptual phase right now. The tribal dispensary that they've established is a temporary building. And so they are looking at the entire property that they currently own and potentially land that they may acquire or have additional lands that may be brought into the tribal property. So for any number of reasons, we don't have full vision of what it is. Their current timing seemed to suggest that it would be sooner rather than later on additional development. We have no issues continuing to have dialogue, ongoing dialogue with the tribe. It may be even an opportunity, depending on what the final design is selected by the council, on where that location is. Maybe it's where it is now. Maybe it's included as part of the tribal property if there was an agreement to do that. And so that, in that sense, it may look more like the lower right-hand side there of what that might look like. So there's a number of different options. We'll continue to stay engaged with the tribe on their development plans as well.
I think discussion with the tribe is important because it will influence what they do, and it's just, we want to be complementary and have it all work so it looks unified.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, first of all, I don't know how many of us here were on the PRCC, but I remember back in the day talking about public art and how that would be a wonderful thing somewhere in the future. Now we're finally doing it. So it's really great to see how we're using our local artists. We've already done some of the utility box wraps, and then we've also done the library art and so forth. So it's really coming about, and I'm really pleased. Yeah, I would like to hear from the artists also. I was hoping Ed was going to speak tonight a little bit about the process and so forth, but as I'm looking through the notes, there was a lot of great feedback between each of the commissioners and the interaction with the artists and so forth. And I do appreciate narrowing it down, not too tight, but also narrowing it down to where we have something manageable to deal with. So that's wonderful. We talk about this being phase one of the beautification, Old Town beautification. Can you remind us a little bit of what we're looking at for beautification along the entire highway there?
So according to the town's strategic plan, one of your initiatives was to continue beautification along the commercial corridor on 62. And so you'll remember that we've identified a handful of key intersections along the highway that we've identified some preliminary landscaping plans. That's not included as part of this project, but we'd be happy to bring that forward again, remind the council of where we're at, and then begin to look at that in terms of visibility with potential resources made available through Measure Y. And what that might look like in terms of timing.
Okay, I would think that would be important because if we're doing intersection beautification, I'd like to see that whatever we decide to do with this monument sign and the others that sort of complement that. So it's not like a mismatch of two different ideas or concepts. So perhaps reviewing that, not that we would do it at the same time, this is phase one, but at least know that our phase two is going to be complementary to this project. The other question is, what I had discussed earlier with some people on staff was that the tribal land is right there next to them. We want to be partners with them in projects, and this might be a great project. They could partner with us, perhaps with the cost or the location. The first location that we own is a little bit more elevated than their property itself. And so I would like to see perhaps what the visibility differences are on using our corner right there for our sign, or perhaps them partnering with us and putting our sign on their corner. Because, again, if you have some large monument sign, now you're blocking some of that intersection and cars coming from the side. And if we're going to have a travel center, you're going to see more vehicles coming in and out of that particular intersection. So for public safety reasons, maybe on the opposite side of the street, which is on their property, might be a better location for a monument-type sign. With the, I guess, understanding of agreement that, you know, we have, if we want to change the sign and we want to do some things, we can still do it, and so forth. And then perhaps maybe them partnering for financial costs to have that done, because we want it to complement maybe their long-term vision of the travel center. And if they know that we're going to have a monument sign either across the street or on their property, they can design something beautiful that's going to complement it instead of fight against each other. The other question I have maybe for Shane is that with a travel center there, is there going to be any requirements perhaps with the tribe or Caltrans on any kind of modification to that corner, widening or turn lanes?
Based upon communication with tribal representatives, their civil engineers are coordinating with Caltrans for improvements that they would build with their project. We have communicated what our general plan highway widths are for their consideration, so they have all the information necessary for that proper coordination.
Okay. So, yeah, without getting into specifics, I agree that that location, whether it's one side of the street or the other, is the right location for welcoming people to Yucca Valley. So I think we need to stay with that location, and then that also would have a determination on what type of sign or monument sign we would put there at a later date. So I like the location. I think we're still pretty far away from, you know, pulling the trigger on a design, but again, I'd like it to complement phase 2 and 3 of our highway beautification project.
Thank you. My opinion is I think a workshop is necessary for two reasons. Of course, choosing the sign, whichever one. So I think workshop would be helpful with that. But I think in the workshop, we should look at other options for a location. I did some Google Earthing. I know that's not, you know, I mean, who knows where that goes, but I noticed Pinion Drive has kind of a similar corner, and that's just a little bit west of that corner. And the casino, not casino, but the what's it called? Red Falcon? Yeah, the dispensary. And the travel, if there is a travel center, that would not even be close. So maybe there are alternate locations, and they should be discussed at the workshop. So the workshop could be two things, you know, what sign that we prefer and what location we prefer. I mean, location we're at now, that we have chosen now, might be just fine, but there's no reason to not discuss other locations. I don't think it should be more towards town, though. It should be more to the west, or just leave it where it is. As far as like Rancho Mirage, like their sign, they probably have 8 or 10 signs when you go in on all the side streets and everywhere else. And this is a special sign. We're a small town, and we're putting a lot of effort into this. So it's not just like one of 10 signs at certain intersections right when you get to the boundary of the town. So I think we need to put a little more thought into it than just thinking of it like Rancho Mirage. It's a little more special. So I'm in favor of a workshop and talk about the two items. So that's all. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Okay, this is a receive and file, so those were our recommendations. Is that clear? Okay. Number 7, online service update, building permit records.
Okay, there we go. Good evening, Mayor and Council. This item is a receive and file to receive an update on the availability of building permits on our town's website. This is a new feature. Staff uses the guidance from the town's adopted strategic plan to guide us on our projects that we do throughout the year. So at the end of, or beginning of fall in 2024, we completed this project where we scanned the building permits that we currently had on file. We had approximately 12,000 documents that were scanned in. And what this does, following our strategic plan, is it increases our online functionality and providing information to the public, as well as securing our vital records. Once we scan those in and put those into our repository, it joined other town electronic records such as ordinances, resolutions, agenda packets, and the town's minutes, contracts, and agreements. So all of those items are open data to the public. So if you go into a certain area on our website, the public can review all of those without a public records request. So just as a little side note here, I overstated the percentage on the amount of records requests that this would save. I have 90%. It's a good thing I'm not in finance anymore. It's closer to 50%. So in 2025, we had, or 2024, we had 362 public records requests. 215 of those was asking for building permits. In 2023, we had 285 requests with 143 asking for permits. So with that amount of volume of requests, we felt it was probably a good idea to open those up to help the realtors, contractors, a lot of new people coming in if they're investing in our area with our vacation rentals or just new homeowners. It makes it easier for them to find out what's been permitted on their property. So what I'd like to do is walk you through, and we'll see. It's pretty easy to get to. So on the town's website, you go to I want to find public records. So that takes us to our request for public records page, which you saw part of this when we had a demo on our public records request system, which that's where you can locate just request in this black box here. You can search town documents, which we'll get to that in just a moment. This is where you can find that open data. You can find the building permits, but you can also find minutes and ordinances, resolutions, agenda packets that are all filed since incorporation. Here, we're going to find building permits. That takes us to our repository, our Laserfish system. So you'll see here that this is building permits, and they're all filed. The streets are in alphabetical order. So if we want, we can go into the G's. Let's go to Grand. And we're going to, let's try 5011 Grand. So this is the house number. So you see here we have two different entries for 5011 Grand. The first one has 37 pages. It was imported in September, which is when we did our historical input. So 5011 Grand, if you open this up, this is all the historical records we had on file towards the end of this year, or the middle of last year. So any of the records that we have, they're all combined into one file. We just felt for the ease of input that it was okay to have all of those, the historical ones back that far, all in one area. Because if somebody wants to print this out, all they have to do is select the page or select the collection of pages and print it out. When you print it or save it, it'll be printed and saved as PDF as well as just a regular print document. So you'll see that on this particular one, we have Grand 5011 with the 2 behind it. It just means it's a second entry for that address. And there's 4 pages, and that was entered in November. So this is a newer entry. This is something that has come in since we started the project. So going forward, we're going to continue to just build on those files for each address. So another thing I wanted to show you is the search capability. So keep in mind, it's hard to understand but sometimes, but these are 2 separate systems. We have our website and then we have our Laserfish system. So if somebody just puts in the address in the main search bar on the website homepage, they're not going to get to this. So they have to wait till we get all the way into the Laserfish system, and it'll say search in public portal. So let's search 58550 Barron. So online users can search by address. And here there's 13 pages of records for this address. We can also search by APN number, 0586. I didn't like that one. Okay, well, I tried it earlier today and it did work, so. Okay, so what this did is this took us to, remember when we were on the town's website and it had that middle box where it said search records? This is the page it'll come to. So these are all the areas where we have public records from permits or contracts and agreements, and these are all open on our town's website as well. So that basically takes care of, let's see if I can get back to it. It's hard with that thing in the middle. Okay, so that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions following public comment.
Thank you, Leslie. Is there anyone in the public that would like to comment on this item? No one? Okay, let's bring it back to the council. Anybody on this side? So, Councilmember Lombardo.
I'm happy to see the transparency and the ease of manipulation of the system so that people can look into things that we used to have to dig a lot of time to find. And I think this is a good step in the forward direction, and technology is really leading the way. I think that's awesome. Good job on staff to getting that inputted and the concept of bringing this up at this time. That's great. Happy to see it.
All right, Mayor Pro Tem?
This is excellent. It's a game changer. And talk about allowing the public more access to government. I mean, it eliminates so much red tape when you're trying to get a permit. And you're talking about the convenience for the applicant. Well, convenience for our staff too, because a lot of this mundane looking up records for just simple requests, it allows staff to move forward instead of looking backwards all the time. And whenever you have to look up old records of building permits and stuff, you're looking back. I just went through the list of my permits, and it's like a memory down, drive down memory lane, and now I know where all my money went. But it reminds me of where it went. But it is a game changer. It really is. And I don't know for sure, but this is something, since I see someone from the water district, being able for the consumer, the customer, to be able to access records, such as if a home's been retrofitted with low flow and stuff like that, you have to call. The person has to take the time to look it up and let you know, and then send out a certificate. If they could just type in an address or type in the thing and be able to see that it has low flow, it's been modified or meets the requirements, or if that particular address, and it may already be on the website, I'll have to ask them that particular address is hooked up to the sewer or not, or exactly if it's connected. So again, this is a game changer. Talking about opening things up for the public and having access to public records is wonderful. I'm assuming our town attorney signed off on it because it is public records. It's just a lot more convenient to get it now. I'm sure Shane's going to do a presentation at the Builders and Realtors meeting because everyone will be very excited.
Thank you. Anyone on my left?
Yes, please. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Leslie, for putting in so much work to make this happen. When I started on the council, one of the things I wanted to do was make sure that we all worked as a team to improve our network, our hardware, our software. And we're at the point now where we can use that infrastructure we've built out to allow, remote attendance in the meetings, and also be able to do this kind of stuff, because record retention and open records requests is really difficult. So I've been a big fan of open data, and it's one of the things I talked about originally, and we're far ahead of many, many other communities, that we have something that's so simple that you put together and showed it through. I went on our town's website, and I didn't even go through all that. I just put in record search, and it took me right where I needed to be, and I just said by alphabetically, and I was already there. So yeah, it's very simple, and I know it's no easy task. We have tens, if not hundreds of thousands of records, and so to sort that out, you must be good at Rubik's Cubes too, so thank you very much for your work.
Council members, no, you're good? Okay. I just want to say I'm blown away by this. Oh.
I didn't understand that you could ask for file for permits. I would just like to know, is there a thing that directs people that are low income to where they can file permits, building permits through the county at no cost? Is there a link to that? Because
nobody can really answer you on that. You'll have to wait till the end of the meeting and you can comment. And then somebody from staff can talk to you after the meeting.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I just want to say I'm blown away by this. It's really cool. I'm kind of a nerd for this kind of stuff, looking stuff up on the computer and information and maps and all that stuff. And it's incredible. It just, I didn't even know this was going on. So thank you for whoever's doing all that scanning or however it's being done. That takes a lot of time. And what else was I going to say about it? I guess that's it. So thank you. So this is a receive and file. Now we're on to item number 8, which is strategic plan status review.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. You get the most exciting item last here tonight. Your strategic plan first update of this cycle. So you'll recollect that as part of the council's established process. Typically, we start with community input, community survey. That goes into the input that the council gives as you develop your strategic plan for the upcoming 2-year period. That's then implemented through your 2-year budget, and that's how that process moves forward. So we're looking at the 2024 through 2026 strategic plan. This is your first update of it, and it's in the agenda packet. We didn't think that it would be very beneficial to go through the many different initiatives and goals that you have in there, I'd be happy to talk about individual ones as the council may desire tonight, but I do want to make just a couple of comments. On your packet page 135, there's a number of initiatives that are listed as complete already, and we're very, very grateful for the community's participation in Measure Y and Measure Z, and the education process, the information process, and ultimately how the residents participated in the election in November. A number of those were high priority items for the council as listed on your strategic plan, and they are gratefully listed as complete on many of those. Another correction, as I had an opportunity to review the plan this morning with Councilmember Dennison, is on stamp page 137, and goals number 23 and 24, we identify some staff goals that we had in terms of identifying a workplace conversations, and different ideas and feedback that we wanted to get from our staff. We identified that in the status as not started. In reality, that is underway. We've been able to have some meaningful conversations with staff already, one-on-one with myself and in other capacities, and so very grateful for that process, and that is moving forward. With that, council, be happy to answer any specific question that either the public or the council might have on any of these initiatives and their current status.
All right. Is there anyone in the public that would like to comment on this particular item? Okay, anyone, any council members? Anyone on my right? On my left?
Yeah, Mayor, just a comment, I guess. I really appreciate the work that the town manager does, but the entire staff to build and put together this strategic plan that we use, constantly. And it's really a good tool for us to use for our short, medium, and long-term goals. And it's been shown to work well over the last few years that I've been here, which is almost well over 10 years now. But it's one of the things that I really look forward to. We really like to plan, we put it together, and we look at all aspects of what we do, how we can support ourselves through funding, how we can interact with the community, and these things that you've seen on this list. The list is quite deep, but it shows in detail for the community of exactly where we're focusing our energy. And I still look at our public safety, our infrastructure, and then our quality of life, always in that order, and this strategic plan helps me keep the train on the tracks in that part of it. So thank you for the work.
All right, thank you. I guess
Let me just make a quick comment. I really appreciate the multi-year aspect of it as well. And I think it does lend to a lot of transparency for the public too, to see where the priorities are and where the money's being spent and how far along we are in progress of the various projects. And it really does make a much more unified and coherent town. And I think we've benefited greatly by all the efforts from the staff on this.
All right, thank you. All right, that's a receive and file. So let's move on to the next item. Are there any future agenda items that the council would like to consider at a future meeting?
I heard this evening already from Councilmember Abel on the review of the town's beautification efforts outside of the sign. If that's a consensus of the council, we'll bring that back at some point here in the future.
I think that sounds great to everyone, yes. Yes, okay. And is there anything else? No? Okay, let's move on to public comment. So this is a time the public can comment, but we can't answer till after the meeting, so somebody can talk to you after if you want to speak. But the public comment, the town council takes this time to consider your comments on items of concern which are not on the agenda. When you are called to speak, please state your name and community of residence. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. Inappropriate behavior which disrupts, disturbs, or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of the meeting will result in forfeiture of your public comment privileges. The town council is prohibited by state law from taking action or discussion items not on the, discussion items not on the agenda. So is there anyone in the public that would like to make a comment? You have 3 minutes if somebody wants to come up.
Mayor, we have a few requests to speak. First one is by Susan Herring.
Thank you. I am Susan Herring, Pioneer Town, 40-plus year resident of the Morongo Basin. I volunteer when I have time in our community to help locate and trap lost dogs. My passion is dogs. The community talks to me because of the volunteer work I do. Therefore, I ask, because our community is asking, why doesn't our Yucca Valley shelter post stray dog intakes on the shelter website? Both Devore and Big Bear do this, as well as many other shelters. Within 1 hour of a stray dog being brought into these shelters, the dog is listed online for the public to see. It's a huge benefit to a person that's looking for their lost dog, along with family and friends. Literally, everything in our life is now online. You talked about that a few minutes ago. Is there any reason why stray intakes can't be posted immediately? People have jobs, and not everyone has transportation to be able to physically come and look every day at the shelter for their dog. And there have been comments from lost pet owners where they called the shelter, put in a lost report, were never notified, and came in to find their pet. Using your last published stats of approximately 1,000 yearly dog intakes, that's less than 3 dogs per day that the shelter would need to list online. Second, for transparency, the shelter needs to consistently make sure the town website link of adoptable pets is updated to the Pet Finder website used by most shelters. Previously, that link of the town website had 0 pets listed for a long time. And after emails in December to Mayor Jeff, and thank you, sir, the staff started adding dogs. Currently, the Pet Finder link has only 4 adoptable pets at the Yucca shelter, and it's been that way for a while. So I guess that's all we have at our shelter is 4 adoptable pets. I'm seeing puppies on the shelter's Facebook page, but nothing on Pet Finder. So is Pet Finder really accurate? And speaking of the Pet Finder listings, have you ever looked at the 29 Palms shelter posts? I have copies, and it's like looking at day and night. Somebody at that shelter really knows how to do a fantastic job marketing effect to get those dogs adopted. If I was a family looking for a dog, I most certainly would head towards the 29 Palms shelter. With only 4 dogs listed right now in the Yucca Valley shelter as adoptable, it's amazing to me that staff can't find the few minutes to expand the info to help pique someone's interest in that dog. Again, marketing. To me, these are easy things that are fixable and they work. Thank you for your time. If this helps get 1 more dog saved and adopted, it's worth my efforts. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
Did you contact Doug Loathes at the shelter about the idea, about the post? Did you contact him? Okay, I'll talk to you after the meeting, but I was wondering if you'd already contacted staff and what the feedback was.
Now we have Greg Herring.
I'm Greg Herring, Pioneer Town. I'm a retired Marine Corps major, and I've been in the Morongo Basin for 35 years now. I'm going to continue with the animal shelter theme here a little bit. And what I want to offer is a practically cost-free method of improving the shelter's ability to perform part of its mission, which is the care of these dogs that they intake. Dogs are social creatures. The program I'm recommending is a robust volunteer program, just like the ones that Joshua Tree and 29 Palms and many of the other ones in our county and surrounding communities already have. Yet I understand that Yucca Valley has chosen to say no to volunteers. I don't understand this. What these volunteers do is come in and help these stressed dogs. Dogs are social creatures, just like us. You put them in a pen, they're going to stress out. How can we help these dogs become more in the demeanor that they would be if they were in a home? Their demeanor changes when they're in that shelter, and they become either aggressive, shy, timid, and the shelter is deeming these dogs as unadoptable. Let's bring in a volunteer program that will go in, several times a week, 2, maybe 3 times a week, walk the dogs, socialize with those dogs, interact with those dogs, make the dogs feel like, oh, okay, there's hope, this isn't that bad. Maybe, make the dogs feel a little bit more normal so that their demeanor isn't that stressed out demeanor that is causing the shelter to deem them unadoptable. I challenge the council here tonight, get with Doug, to have him get with the other communities. How do they do it? How do they make this happen? How is the liability of having volunteers on site handled? Many other communities do it. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg.
Tyler Crossman.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you. My name is Pilar Crossman, and I live at the Service Village Senior Community on Palm Avenue. I'm the president of the Homeowners Association, and I live, so this community is located behind Sure Stay Hotel, who is going through some kind of renovation. I don't know who is controlling the renovation. They used to have a iron fencing behind the hotel, where they have put all the containers to dispose of all mattresses, of all things, because they're renovating inside. But the problem is that they had so many mattresses that with the wind, everything blows to Pima Trail, which is between my community and the hotel. So all the mattresses blow away, the homeless get it, and they disperse through Pima Trail. At one point, I had to call Bortec. I pay him $80 to come into the trail and pick up the mattresses. I don't think it's my job. Somebody has to be controlling how these people do the renovation. And that's one thing. So now, since this Pima Trail is with homeless, I did call the health department because now it's a dumping area for trash. I called Robert Thompson 6 months ago because it was a motorhome who had homeless, and they used to jump the fence to our community to go under the pool, use our showers, and defecate all around our community. So I know Robert, he was the next day taking that motorhome out. I have called the sheriff department for 6 months, since September, to see if they can take that abandoned black van that is there, where the homeless come in with food and stuff like that. We have an invasion of rats. Somebody has to do something. Who takes care of the Pima Trail? I went on January 10 to the city, and I have an appointment with one of the engineers to see who takes care of Pima Trail. He said he didn't know who does it. I'm asking you. You talk about beautification. Maybe we should beautify this trail. It's an embarrassment. And somebody should be checking Sure State how they doing the renovation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else, Leslie?
Yes, we have a request to speak from Frank.
Frank.
Gentlemen, hello. It's been a long time. I almost know all of you. I want to thank you for the best Veterans Day I ever had. It was so good. And I've been in Elk for 28 years and down below. and quite a other clubs, but I have never seen, and I'm sorry I'm 2 weeks late, but I got hurt last time I was here. I want to thank you for the best Veterans Day I ever had. I really mean it. Gentlemen, thank you. Sorry, I got other things on my mind too. A friend of mine died. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for saying that.
All right, is there anyone else, Leslie?
That's all I have.
Okay, and Mr. McCone, you want to speak?
I did not fill out a card. Could I?
You can, yes.
I have a question. Good evening, Council. Scott McCone, Board Member at High Desert Water District. During discussion of Agenda Item 7, Public Records Requests, are owners' names made public when there's a public request? Yes? The reason I'm asking is there might be some privacy issues. Years ago, when you searched on, say, for example, San Bernardino County Tax Collector by assessor parcel number, addresses, they stopped publishing addresses. So you could go APN, and it would show the APN, but not the address. And now, most recently, I looked up a property, again, through San Bernardino County Tax Collector, and the owner's names are no longer listed. So maybe consider, I did hear High Desert Water District mentioned here, so I think if something came before the board, as far as public requests, I would probably not be inclined to publish give out the owner's names. So if somebody wants to look at a piece of property specifically, I don't know what they would be asking, but, so that would probably be a consideration for me. So, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you, Mr. McCone. And is there anyone else? The gentleman that wanted to speak earlier, do you still want to?
Chance.
What is your name and city of residence?
Hi, my name's Matt Wilkinson. I was out on the corner yelling at people all day yesterday, is why my voice sounds like this. When she was talking about the permits website, I was just wondering if there's going to be a link to let the community know that low-income people can get permits for free. Because there should be a link explaining that people that are low-income can get building permits for free through the county of San Bernardino. I want to know if there's going to be a link.
Okay, well, we can talk to you after the meeting. We can't answer right now by law.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. All right. So is there anyone else in the public that would like to make any comments? No? Okay, that's it with public comments. Let's move on to staff reports and comments.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Just a couple updates today. Captain, you have anything you want to share this evening?
Sure. As council, I'm sure, is aware, King of the Hammers is well underway. We're about in the middle of it now. It's scheduled to conclude on Saturday. Like you, I've definitely seen an increase in vehicular traffic through town and certainly up and down Highway 247. Just some interesting numbers. I spoke to one of my BLM counterparts. This year, they've changed things a little bit where they're actually counting the ticket sales at the door to get an accurate gauge of how many people are attending. And on Saturday alone, they sold 75,000 tickets for people going in. And when you look in there, prior to them selling tickets, there are people who have been camped there for several days that I'm not good at estimating people, but would certainly put that number north of 100,000. So I spent the better part of today out there trying to gather some information that might interest you. It's very difficult. I had a previous conversation with Curtis, trying to figure out what percentage might be coming through town as opposed to from the Lucerne area or even from the east through 29 Palms. I think our best opportunity to examine that would be after the event is concluded, if we can get with the organizer and figure out ticket sales, where they came from. If people just pay at the door, they're not taking the time to get a lot of background information, but certainly I think the pre-sales can give us an indication, a rough percentage of how many people might be coming through town. We have had a couple of significant traffic collisions outside of town limits up on 247. We've had a total of 7 individuals airlifted from up in that area. Glad to say with that many people, we've only, with us and the Bureau of Land Management combined, we've only made 3 arrests. Generally, the campers are pretty good at putting each other to bed or breaking up fights before we even get called. And with that type of a crowd, unless something really forces our hand, we're doing a lot of education and warnings, but it's been pretty controlled so far. We are very active on social media regarding the traffic, and I believe Yucca Valley residents have been very responsible and patient. We have not seen at least a steep increase in collisions here in town, but again, those stats will compile after the event is concluded, and would certainly be open to sharing those with you, and we'll have some discussions with Curtis if we see a spike at all in those numbers. But so far, so good, but it's scheduled to conclude Saturday at around noon.
Thanks, Captain. Appreciate that. Deborah, Alex, anything today? Sue? All right. Shane? Council, just a couple of quick updates. Did have the opportunity to communicate this afternoon with Ms. Crossman on her issues on Pima Trail, so she'll have an email about that. The vehicle's already been towed out of there, so we'll keep an eye on that. We'll also keep an eye on the project over at the adjacent hotel. Did have an opportunity to have some email communication with Ms. Herring, and so that those recommendations that came in were shared with our team, and we're continuing to evaluate that. Frank, thank you for your service. I think he left already, but we do appreciate his service and participation in our Veterans Tribute. The last comment I have for you this evening is we've been working with Congressman Obernolte's office. They've asked to have a community update meeting, and that is currently scheduled for February 22nd. It's a Saturday in the morning, so excited to be able to offer that for the community, for them to be able to touch base with their congressman. Conclude staff comments this evening, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we move on to mayor and council member reports and comments. So let's start with council member. You're good? Okay. Council member Dennison?
I just want to thank the public for coming out and taking the time to make comments to the council. It's very much appreciated. Gives us a lot of direction of things that are important to all of us. That's it.
Okay. Anyone over here?
I want to thank everybody for coming out at 5 o'clock, and we did get a little more interaction than usual. It's good to have your comments. We do appreciate that. I look forward to having a workshop on the art project. It's always exciting to see that stuff happen. Thank you to the staff for all the projects that are getting completed and moving along in different directions. Just so much to be proud of in this community. It's always a thrill and a privilege to be here. Thank you.
All right. Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, first of all, I'd like to thank staff. I had a resident that was worried about a fire safety issue, and I made the staff aware of it, and they handled it immediately. And so I appreciate that. I was unable to attend the Mojave Desert Air Quality Management meeting because I got on the highway and heading out in Lucerne, and a couple semis decided to go sideways and block the highway for about an hour. So I missed the meeting, had to turn around and come back. But I was able to attend the Mayors and Council Members Association meeting on January 29th through the 31st. A lot of great workshops, land use planning, which was a huge topic and very informative. Of course, they covered other items like social media, financial responsibility, networking events as well. I did, during networking events, be able to spend a lot of time connecting with Apple Valley Council and a lot of time with the Desert Hot Springs council members. And they seemed really eager into getting to know us here because we're sister cities, real close, and they wouldn't mind collaborating a little bit. As you know, they're building some infrastructure down there and some maybe job opportunities that we might be able to benefit from. So I want to keep those dialogues with them open. And the Desert Mountain representatives, I got to spend a lot of time with them as well. So it was very, very productive. I would like to invite our council members to go to the City Leaders Summit and that'll be April 23rd through the 25th. So it should be another great opportunity. Plus, we'll have opportunities to perhaps touch bases with some people in Sacramento during that conference. So that's April 23rd and 25th. I plan on attending, and hopefully some others will want to join me.
Thank you very much. And all I have to say is everybody be careful driving Highway 247, going out to Landers or further with King of the Hammers going on. I want to remind everyone that the Miss Yucca Valley Scholarship Pageant is this Saturday at Joshua Springs at, I believe, 6 p.m. I'm pretty sure it's 6 p.m. I want everybody to have fun at the Super Bowl. That should be exciting. I was invited to a Super Bowl party, so that'll be fun. And 2 weeks from today, we're going to have Soda with the Mayor again at 9 a.m. And not sure where it's going to be, but keep your eyes open for that. So we can meet at 9 a.m. You can talk to me and town staff and get all your questions out. And that's about it. Our next meeting, the next regular meeting of the Yucca Valley Town Council will be held on Tuesday, February 18th, 2025 at 5 p.m. right here. Yes, so let's close this meeting. Then, next, we have a closed session coming up, which will be at the town offices in the conference room. And do I need to say what it's about, or? I'm good? Okay, so let's start the closed session. We'll walk up there. We'll have about, you have like 10